morning and welcome to all. I would like to call the September Planning Board meeting to order. And first I'll ask for a adoption of the agenda.
I move to adopt the agenda.
Seconded. Next, the approval of the minutes, the July minutes and the August minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion approved minutes.
I'll second that.
All right. Now we get into the old business. First, I know that Robbie he's going to be late. He's got 3 projects on and he'll be here. I don't know where John is. Otherwise, you have Peter, Pete, and Joe. Getting into the old business, the comprehensive plan update. As most of you know, hopefully you know, we've been working on this project for several months. We recently posted it online. The planning board has visited all the chapters. We have gone back on a few of them and asked for more input or more definition. Peter did a great job redoing the recreation one, and thank you for chairing that part of it. Our purpose today is to basically get ready for tomorrow, and kind of wanted to get a feel for how many people we think we'll have there tomorrow. You think it's going to be?
Well,
Historically, it isn't.
we send out postcards and everything else, so
Yep.
I mean, I'm expecting that some people think it's a drop-in kind of thing, but I think we have at least 30 people here.
I do too.
Okay, all right.
I'd use this as a judge.
I would-
We've got at least 2 people here that don't normally come to play.
Well, you got 4. You got
For
4.
the ramblings.
So that was.
You got 4 people.
Committee, that's
Anyway.
that's the way it should be here.
All right.
Because I do what Sean tells me to do.
Preston, do you have any specific way that you want to review this?
No, however you want to go about it.
Well,
My plan for the meeting tomorrow is to put together just a PowerPoint, go over some of what we've done, and then ask for any comments or anything like that from the meeting tomorrow.
all right. I've got about 6 hours worth of review that I did Saturday, because thank you for providing me with a hard copy. It's easier to make notes on it.
Sure.
I will, if you think we're going to have that made tomorrow, then rather than go over this page by page here, after tomorrow's meeting and with the notes gathered from the input from the public, then I think we'll have to sit down and redo
Yeah.
redo it based on those comments that we received.
Okay. That's kind of how I envisioned it going.
All right. Does anyone have any input that they want to put in there right now about, I'm assuming everybody's read the online version?
I have, and it's fabulous. You did a fabulous job.
Thank you, really.
I read every word.
And it takes a few hours.
It does, it does.
All right.
It does.
Mr. Chairman, I don't have any changes, but I've seen emails go back and forth. I had some yesterday, Oz emails. Of course, some of the Oz people want the Oz wording to stay as is. There's some people who want the Oz wording to be changed. So you'll probably have some comments on that tomorrow from the public.
The Oz wording, I don't even know what that
Like the
is.
Oz being the focal point for the city, that kind of thing. And
Oh.
hopefully it goes year round at some point, that type of thing. We didn't change the wording from the original, last plan, but that's the only thing I've heard.
That's in there as the old plan was, I think.
Yeah, so you'll probably have some
And
comments.
so there may be some update to that. Obviously, the Oz thing is changing some. I don't know if this is the place to say it, but I heard some rumors that MGM might have some things to say about it.
I had not heard.
They have the rights to it. No clue. Rumor. And I don't want to be spreading a rumor, because I have no, I just heard that, there's a lot of things up in the air about ice, so we'll welcome those, and see if it changes the long-range vision for the town.
Well, I would think if it was built in 69 and they haven't got around to it for 50 years, there's kind of a, where have you been kind of thing. If they have any input, they should have been doing it.
They should have been doing it already.
Yeah,
MGM we're talking about.
yeah.
Huh? You heard that rumor too?
No.
No, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
if MGM had objections to that, they should have been expressing that in 69, 2019.
That's a pretty good argument, but I don't think that'll hold up in court.
But I can make them really, kind of make you believe that.
Read it.
All right. Okay. Let's move on to the posting project. Plans for compliance, go ahead.
Yeah, what you have in your packet is a map of the proposed zones that we'd like to break up the town into a few sections, just to kind of break it up into smaller pieces that we can manage with staff, current staff.
Whoa, the address posting project.
Yeah, that's this map here shows it, and the red indicated on there. I'll pull it up on here so everybody can see what we're talking about.
Okay.
So the red that's indicated on there are the addresses that we found in 2017 that were non-compliant.
Oh, non-compliant.
Yeah.
Right.
Those are the ones that we have notified, and they may still be, but they may have corrected the issues. So what we'd like to do is break it up, and the first zone that we'd like to do is that eastern half there. We think that'll collect a lot of the non-compliant ones, and then we can move on to the second zone after we get that area surveyed and the letters out. And that way, everybody's not getting the letter all at once, or we're not getting bombarded with calls and requests to go out and look at it. Because there's always people want to know exactly what's wrong with mine. If I do this, it's going to be compliant. If I do this and this, it's going to be compliant. So it takes a lot of time. So what we'd like to do is break it up into smaller sections that we can manage without doing the whole town at once. That being said, we also are planning on sending out a final notice to these non-compliant ones and saying basically, this is your last sort of courtesy warning. Now, if you haven't fixed it, please do so. If you don't, we're getting ready to go out and start issuing notices of violation. And then in the utility bill, Tim, is that this coming utility bill? We're going to send that address posted?
Address, I think it goes out to this month.
At the end of this month, we're going to send out that flyer we put together, basically letting everybody know about their addresses, so that even the people that weren't on the list as a maybe or possibly not in compliance, they'll get the notice as well. And then as well as because of the code change, some of the people that were in compliance before may not be now. So that'll kind of bring it fresh to everybody's mind.
Preston, remind me, what is the penalty or the ultimate fine if they're remaining non-compliant?
There's not a defined penalty for this, so it would fall back to the basic standard fine, which is $100 per day. Generally, the code reads that you have to give somebody reasonable amount of time to fix it. We generally give people 30 days if we're going to say we're going to fine them. If it's something that can't be fixed, like trees, we go ahead and fine them because you can't remedy that situation.
No, you put the sign in a different place.
Yeah, but for addressing, we would probably give them 30 days, so you need to fix this within 30 days or you're going to be fined $100 per day.
Can I ask, the representation on the map here, when was that done?
This original survey was done in 2017, and that was the big one that we had about.
The original, but has this been updated since then?
No.
Oh, so this is,
You're talking a lot of manpower.
Yeah.
oh, I understand, but this is almost 2 years old.
Yeah, it is, and some of these could have been corrected. We just don't know because nobody really. We tried to ask people to let us know if they did, if they fixed it, but that, you know, I'm sure people are busy and.
And you can go anywhere in the town and find more, but these were ones we know, and more than likely still are. You had others that were brought into compliance because they knew we were doing this, as we walked by and told them what we're doing, and they, whoa, they did. They fixed them.
So I guess my question is, because I've walked most of the mountain with the pace setters, some have still like CB 82, and are those considered legal house
No.
numbers?
Those are old Carolina
No.
Caribbean numbers.
C911.
But most of those, like, I've got SW66 somewhere on my lot, but I also have 113 Christie Way in 3 or 4 places.
Yeah. I saw some yesterday that they were just
You know,
had,
some of the older numbers,
that's the only number they had.
And I don't think that's been clarified with a lot of homeowners, especially people that have owned lots up here since the get-go.
Yeah.
Those are the only numbers that they have gone by. So this is gonna be probably a new thing to them. I don't know how we're gonna get out to some of these homeowners. I'm sure you've got addresses and whatever to.
Yeah, the ones that were, well, we have the full list, I think I emailed to you guys, I didn't print it out because it was, you know, it was quite extensive, but, you know, the full list of all the addresses we have and which ones were in compliance, which ones were maybe, and then which ones were not. So.
And we've got on that letter we're gonna send to them how to comply.
Yes, we do have a checklist of exactly what it needs to be to meet the codes. Hopefully that'll help. And we've, you know, I know that this board has been active for this with a couple of years. We had several attempts to try to get voluntary compliance, and so I think we're just at this point where we're going to have to issue this final notice to people, and then if they don't, then you know, we can start fining and stuff like that.
Right.
and once a couple people get fined, the word will spread a little better.
Yeah.
So we can,
But it is before you joined it, but we had a pretty comprehensive group of people. We had before classes, said, here's how you evaluate it. And in essence, we found the ones that we said, hey, these are definitely, there's a lot of maybes. Well, we're not going after the maybes. Let's start with this, but let's at least get the thing started correctly. Because if we can correct half of these, believe me, your emergency personnel are going to be a whole lot better off finding something. Because you go down, not Skiway Circle, but off of Skiway Circle is a little street that goes across the dam.
Kick
and down
turn,
through there.
kick turn.
kick turn lane,
And
kick turn
and
lane.
there may be one house on that street that was in compliance. And you go down there on a rainy night, and you're driving a fire truck or an ambulance or a police car, and like, whoa, you're down to the end. You said, well, God, it has to be 4 here.
Well, I know
So,
back,
I mean, that's the number one reason. Number 2 reason is for all the other obvious reasons of finding an address.
right, right.
But you go down Pine Ridge Road and, I can't remember, 500 or 600 block, it's like, oh, okay, there's 660. So that's the whole purpose of this. And it's going after the ones, and you're asking for compliance. Should we go after the eastern zone first? I think it's a great idea, the way you split it up.
Okay.
That way we know.
That seems to be the problem area.
Mr. Chairman, one thing we hadn't thought about either, they used to carry like numbers to the police department, which the numbers they have don't work anymore.
Well, I've depleted most of those.
But if we see where we get a lot of people call us in and say, well, can you fix it for me, we may come back and try to, I really kind of resist us doing it because it's better if the homeowner does it, but if we were to get, several dozen, requests, we might develop a charge to go out and put them in ourselves.
Well, I was gonna,
All right.
that is not a
Just
bad
hang on a
idea.
minute.
I can charge you.
Hang on a minute. Very good and good suggestion, Tim, and that's probably gonna happen because of the timing of this. It's gonna be November before some of these folks get it, and they're, well, I can't fix this thing from Miami. So if they've got if we've got something that they,
We better
you know,
think.
if we do it as a town and update it, or if we refer it to, okay, you'll get a bill from, PP's numbering service.
Okay, well, let's think about the ramification of the legal side of that. If we went out and did it, and let's say it was number 310 Doe Road, and we didn't install them right, and the zero fell off, and they had somebody there in cardiac arrest, and we couldn't find that street, and they would come back and say, whoa, whoa, whoa. I think the city's got something to do with this, and that could bring us into a little bit of hot water there.
We should have our attorney, like I said, I would try to stay away from it, but if we get overwhelmed with it, and it may be, they release us from liability if we do it, I mean, there's always regular maintenance, but that's a good consideration. And like I said, I'd rather the town not put any letters on, but I'm assuming we'll get a lot of requests, and it would be easier to avoid fines and accomplish the same thing and put them on.
I agree.
The thing I worry about is,
Well,
if you want your numbers to match your house, we're gonna probably order a standard number reflective.
Well, I'm gonna recommend if the town winds up doing it, that we put in the same ones that the 911 system is recommending, which is the green
Reflective.
post at the corner of the lot with the vertical numbers on it.
And Pete, conversely, there might be liability if we can't respond to an address and someone's hurt because we couldn't find it. It could go both ways.
In this
They
litigious
could hold
society,
you
you don't know
responsible.
which way it's.
Anything can happen, but I think that's a good idea. Instead of spending a lot of time and money chasing people and finding them and trying to get fines and they're not being compliant, at some point, I think we should consider a standardized type of sign that would comply, that we could put in, and still, you could still charge the homeowner for it.
Yeah.
So I was thinking of that myself.
I think you should maybe have a few people that you could recommend to homeowners and have them call those people and have them do it, following the policy that you set forth. You think about how many of those red dots don't have addresses. When is our staff going to be able to do that?
Yeah.
I mean, that's
I agree.
a lot of addresses.
That
And
is.
you have people complaining now that, well, this isn't getting done and that's not getting done. Well, that's because we're out putting addresses up on people's properties. I think you'd be better off finding maybe 3 or 4 contractors that are willing to work with the town to do it the right way. And like Pete said, the 9/11 way, where it's the post on the corner and certain size. And it kind of gets us out of the liability stage and then let our workers do what they need to do around town instead of putting addresses on people's property.
That's a great suggestion, because we're way behind on a lot of stuff. Two people we probably start with, we got some existing vendors that do landscaping stuff for us, and also the same folks who make the bear-proof garbage containers. I think they would also be interested in maybe doing the address post. I just have to get them come in and tell them what a standard price would be for a while.
And then they could sell them a nicer sign if they wanted it,
Yeah, exactly.
a custom.
All right, well, I think we can chew that one to death if we keep going with it.
Yeah, really.
Hey, I am thrilled to see this moving forward again.
Me too.
Preston, thank you for this map and this, whoever came up with the idea of dividing into sections is great. We know where we're concentrating. If you see one and you can send a note in and say, hey, I tried to find this address and I don't know where it is. Okay. Should we move on to new business? And the official zoning map? Go ahead, Preston.
As part of the comprehensive plan update and everything, we went ahead and updated our zoning map. What you have in the packet is the new proposed zoning map. There are no rezonings as part of this. It's basically just a new map of what exists out there currently. So we're just asking to take this before council and get it adopted as the official map.
You have a copy of the book?
Yeah.
There's another one right there.
Did I need?
Zoning and music.
Thank you for this.
Oh, perfect.
It's a map, yeah?
Pardon?
It's a map.
Map.
It's a map.
Preston, did you say this does not replace a map? This is the map.
This does replace the current official
Or
map.
it will
that we
replace
have.
the current.
Yeah, and the reason, part of the reason is that with the change from Jess, some of the filing that he used is different than, so I was worried that I wasn't gonna get the correct data in there. So what I wanted to do is create a new map so I know that I have the correct information in there.
Preston, can we talk about, what happens with official zoning map? Let's give a little bit of history about it too. Every town is supposed to have an official zoning map. Anytime you have a change, you change the map every day. Well, the thing about it is, really the only official one is what's on the wall here in Town Hall, because
It's
if you got,
getting faded.
if you got a replicate copy on the GIS or something like that, people know that's not the official map. There's only one official map. And that's why the zone administrator has it, signs off on it, and we're just trying to press and update it, but I thought you needed to know why. We're required to have one, and we have to make sure it's certified, and this will go to council too, correct, Preston?
Yes, yeah.
Bless it as well.
Yeah, we'll have to advertise it as a zoning map amendment, but it's really just a zoning map change. We're just replacing the existing official map with the new official map.
So do you need a motion from the planning board to
Yeah, I just-
send this on to council?
Yes,
And the planning board recommends adoption of a new official town zoning map.
that'd be perfect.
I would like to move that we do just that. We approve this and forward it on.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
What's the date of this map? Is it September?
Yes.
I couldn't read it. It's now, this month,
It'll be
right?
the date of the adoption, I think.
It's,
It'll
today's
be the
May.
date of the adoption.
9/5/2019.
Okay.
Hearing no further discussion, call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous for approval, we'll send it on to council.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I just, let me, now that we've already done that. Okay, I see it, manufactured housing, okay. Notice that manufactured housing is right in the Eagles Nest cul-de-sac. But it's been that way for 20 years,
Yeah,
almost 20 years. Okay. Part of it. All right. Hey there, Robbie.
Hey, you have a packet there, Preston?
yeah, that should be.
Robbie,
We'll move on to other business.
you came at the right time.
There is interest by a party to conceptual proposed subdivision called Cherry Gap subdivision. And Preston, since they've approached you and asked us to look at this, I'll let you give us the overview.
Yeah, I was contacted by Mr. John Parrott. He's the developer who did the Cherry Gap Bridge subdivision, which is just outside of the town limits. Some of you may be familiar with it. It's back off of, I think it comes off of St. Andrews. The Cherry Gap Road extension was extended out into the county, and then subdivided out in the county. So what Mr. Parrott has talked to Mr. Kobania, who owns a large tract of land within the town limits, and so they're considering subdividing that property up into half-acre lots and creating a subdivision there. But with our current zoning and future land use, that would require some zoning amendments and a future land use amendment. So that's, and this is not something that we have to take action on. They just wanted to bring it to your guys' attention, get any feedback, early feedback, any general comments, anything like that.
So is that?
The right hand, we'll ask for input from the public when the board gets done. Is that, the right-hand side of that, is that not the boundary of Buckeye Creek?
It may be Pond Creek, I think. I think Pond Creek may run down through there.
Yeah, I meant Pond Creek, not Buckeye. Buckeye's
Yeah.
further away.
I think Pond Creek does run along that low side of that ridge, which would be the far east part of that
The proposed subdivision.
property. Yeah.
Okay.
It's proposed as half-acre lots,
That's what they would like to do, yes.
but right now it's under 1 acre.
Well, right now, if under current zoning, they couldn't do anything smaller than 1 acre.
Preston,
And that was, when we did that, was to go with the long-range plan, okay? And it going to half-acre lots goes against the vision for the town. Tough sell to get that. Well, that's my opinion. Tough sell to get that changed, especially with.
just a question, just to understand, again, the map. This exists right now. This is the existing
Yeah, the
cherry.
darker green area is the current.
The light
subdivision.
green is what we're talking about.
The light green is what they would.
And the dotted line that goes through the middle and then around the perimeter, what does that represent?
Those would be some roads that they're considering putting in.
Oh, okay, so it's the entire shaded area that would comprise these, is it 18 lots at half an acre? That's what it is.
Well, the 18 lots is what was originally done in the.
200 lots.
Oh, that's the 18 lots is what exists in the existing subdivision.
Yes, yeah, there's 101 acres, so if you did half acre, if it was perfect, you would have 200, but
Gotcha.
yeah, you're gonna have road right of ways and parks most likely.
I got you.
Or whatever, this board could do a conditional zoning and require certain things like, trail, things like that, parks. Certain amenities you could require as part of conditional zoning. Because it would require zoning, you could do, but in order to do that, you'd have to do some type of rezoning.
And I just want to add, Preston hit on it right there at the end about conditional zoning. One thing, if the plan says recommended 1 acre lots, they may come back and suggest some kind of PUD. They're trying to get economically what they need, but what I would caution this board about is what I've seen past planning boards and town councils. I was in one municipality, in one area, they had like 2 acre lot minimums. And so they were adamant, let's stick with the 2 acre lot minimums. Well, it happened to be on the side of a mountain I don't know, they were able to clear cut the entire side of the mountain to try to have these 2-acre lots. And it wound up that 2 years later, the road they put in was sliding off the side of the mountain. So just because of 1 acre, you may have some, if they come with a good plan and, okay, if it goes from, let's say 25 lots to, 37 lots, just be aware they may actually have a good plan. And, so sometimes it's not always great to stick with as long as they meet the spirit. I'm not trying to say not to do the spirit, and this is not even a sketch plan. They will have to come back with a more formal, I think they were just kind of running up the flagpole.
Visible in there anyway.
Yeah, so, anyway, I just thought, let that know so that, if that's considerations and anything you ask for them, they're pretty much liable to do, because if they really want to do a subdivision, they'll comply.
Well, they've got to comply to our ordinances, correct?
Correct.
Well, we have tree ordinances in place that won't allow them to clear the entire lot.
I know, I was just using that as an example, just about not being, dogmatic on the 1 acre if they, because unintended consequences. on things.
Preston, are you aware of something in the long-range plan that's specifically talk about this type of conditional improvement or this rezoning?
Well, I think what the chairman was referring to is that this is our land use that we've assigned in the long range plan. Certainly if there were, there are other elements in the plan that you could say that would support something. If you're saying, well, you give us trails as part of this, we could rezone it, and that may be, you could say, well, that's part of our comprehensive plan to encourage trail dedication with subdivisions. So I'm not saying that's the way to go. I'm not saying that, but there is things in the plan that could support this. There are things in the plan that certainly show that we had it as 1 acre lots.
Mhm.
So.
And I think you mentioned it too, there's the possibility of a dense section of homes with a lot of green space.
Sure.
That's further down the road.
Yeah, and this, Mr. Parrott just wanted, he knew that we were talking about the long-range plan and that sort of thing, so he sent this to me yesterday evening and just asked me to bring it to you guys, just kind of letting everybody know this is what they were talking about, kind of, just getting general feedback. I'm sure they're just in the early stages of this consideration.
Peter? Initial comments?
Well, this is such an early stage of it. Everything's kind of just speculation right now. Now, is this gonna fall, is Heath Perkin lots and they're gonna do septic, or is this fall up under our sewage?
Well, it's all below, it's already below everything now. I mean, here's Pine Creek treatment plant right here.
So what's it gonna be? Is he gonna?
It's all downhill.
I'd have to research it.
Well, it's not all downhill. It's around the hill.
When they submit the sketch plan, we'll have to see if we've got a sewer connection where they can tie in here and the water connection, so we haven't even talked to Rob about this yet, but Preston talked to me this morning about it, so that will come in the sketch plan about where the water and sewer.
Yeah, where the pumping station.
Exactly.
Okay.
Preston, I'm sorry, just so I'm absolutely clear, what type of zoning change, if any, would this require?
At a minimum, it would be required to R2 to get half-acre lots. It's currently an R1.
Currently R1 to R2.
Yep. Yep.
1 acre to half
Yeah,
acre.
you could do it as an R2 PUD or a conditional zoning. That would probably be staff's recommendation, depending on what we saw from the developer. And that would, if they came back with a concept plan that we thought was appropriate for the town, for that location, even if it were smaller lots, we might support it based on some of the design or amenities that they provide. Does that answer your question?
That answers
Okay.
my question.
And this is gonna be a wait and see.
Yeah, but there is some initial we can give them.
To start with the direction.
You're asking for a zoning change that is contrary to the long-range plans of the town.
Well, I'm not sure that it is contrary to the long-range plan. It may or may not be. I would need more information. I'd like to see a proposal. I'd like to have, see a presentation, even to make a recommendation for conditional, approval or consideration. So I kind of agree with Peter. It's very early, and I just don't feel I'm in a position to say strongly yes or no. I'm kind of neutral at this point.
Right.
And I think that's the kind of feedback that they're looking for. I mean, if this were something that the town was totally opposed to or totally in favor of, they want to know that before they get into something too deep. So I think that's the intent of bringing this before you guys, just to get a feel for where you sit on something like this.
I think to come back now should be to go back to them and say, here's what we discussed.
Yeah.
Give me a little feedback from your end.
Yeah, and then, we're recording the meeting, and I'm sure Mr. Parrott will take a look at it, and he'll see all of our comments, and he'll be
Which
able
was
to
his
kind of-
purpose in bringing it. Robbie?
No, I mean, I'm the same with Joe and Peter and yourself. It's all kind of neutral at this moment. It's a little early stage. I'm not in favor either way at the moment.
I need a little bit more information.
Willie, or one of you had something earlier.
Did you have a comment?
We're gonna ask a question about it.
Renee?
Oh,
Okay.
Is that within the town city limits?
Yes, the
Totally.
light green would be inside the town.
And so we would have to provide additional police
Yes,
and fire
yes,
support
yes,
for that area.
yes.
So I guess, and garbage collection, there's all
Sure.
kinds of things, so I was just trying to figure out.
Yeah, it would, I guess the this other side of that is that it would be more tax-based. Certainly, it would be spread out over more people, ideally if they developed it,
Correct. And we would have, the road maintenance once they.
But it's a little early for that. It could be private roads or it could be public.
If it's a subdivision, doesn't it have to be private?
No, what President Paul on, you can have, they can fix the roads to our standards and ask the town, dedicate it to the town to accept it, and it's up to us to choose to accept it or not, or if they want to remain a gated community, they can, we don't take any maintenance, but the police and fire have to act.
So it would be a gated community.
No, I don't know if it would be or not. They can choose either way. Right now, I don't know what they're choosing, but
Okay,
if you're asking, of course, the question was, will we take streets? They have to meet our standards before we take. The town has the right of refusal to take or not take.
okay,
Now, and typically they have to put in, on their side, put in a water sewer, lift station, streets, they have to put everything in and then dedicate that to the town. So the town will soon maintenance, but not the installation.
okay, that's good.
Well, the part that they're developing right now, as you can see in this map, is outside city limits.
Yes,
Correct.
I have a feeling we need to wait and watch what's gonna happen with this first section, to see how well it goes, how smooth it goes, how much compliance there is. Just as the test section, because this is the same builder, same developer wanting to develop another section.
Some of those already built.
We can see what kind of standards he's bringing to his game on the first section before we start.
Last time I tried to go up that road, it was too muddy and I couldn't, I wasn't willing to get the truck stuck.
Is that the section that you were just talking about, just a quick question, is that where they clear cutted everything at the end of Cherry Gap?
Yeah.
Yes.
there you go.
Which that's out of town
I
limits.
understand that, I just wanted to clarify in my head that that's, because I drove up there the other day, and now I know what we're talking about, so that's all I needed to know.
I couldn't believe it. When I walked up there, we walked up there to the Pay Center and we rounded that corner, I mean, they had cut.
Oh, it's wide open. Yeah.
And the houses are about this close together. You know,
But again, that's outside of town limits,
Right.
and our standards would be.
And
I just wanted to get the visual of where that
yes,
is. Thank you.
thank you, Chairman.
well, thank you for input. Willie, what you're telling me, these houses that is already built in there, that on this map, they look fine, and you're telling me they're like clustered together.
Yeah,
Does he have a whole other space that is a big open park? Like his, well, I see two of them down the end of it there. But I'm not sure topographically how that land lays. I just know it goes around the corner, and I think it ties in eventually to
Beach Mountain.
Fresnel School Road or Joe.
I'm not sure which road it
Well,
has.
I know you can access it from either way.
Right, right.
It's one of those hidden egresses out of town that you wind up, it's like McGuire Road, you wind up having to go through the McGuire family farm to get out, but used to have to, right? Any other business to come before this meeting? Anything else? Get the motion adjourned.
I have nothing more myself.
Motion adjourned.
I would move to adjourn.
Wait,
I'll second. Peter has anything to add, but
some of us went through and made changes to the Park and Rec, and I know someone went to Talia and got Talia to rewrite that because the old script was just for the winter. So,
Didn't have summer operations at Beach Mountain Resort.
As part of the rec chapter,
Yes.
yeah,
that needs to become part of the record tomorrow,
Okay.
because we postponed, what I was gonna do this morning was go through page by page, with just the planning board, and then take the input from the public tomorrow. But we can do it all at once, it's just gonna make a long session, and,
I can just
I'm not
email
gonna,
what she sent me. I'm assuming she sent it.
email to Preston,
Okay.
and
right?
you've got the changes that, okay, and so those were, you need to.
Now, we're not gonna say we're gonna totally make them, they'll come under,
Consideration.
most everything that has been input has been changed. That's the reason you do this every 5 years,
Right,
is,
Tell them.
is focus on A, newer ideas, or B, those tasks that didn't have the priority and you accomplished the others.
correct.
And now you've got to get on, keep moving your plan to make it how you want it to look in 3033.
Right. So he's got all of my marked copies, and we'll just give that to you.
Since we haven't adjourned, Mr. Chairman, just a quick question. Do you envision, after we have the meeting and we get all the input and the changes, do you envision us having a special meeting to go through this one more time to get this done? Or maybe a series of a couple of meetings, or are we going to wait for the regular?
We're absolutely going to have to, Joe, to get that final version down, because every time we do it, it's got to go through the approval process. And if we have some minor changes, I don't know, probably slip by. What?
Nothing.
Very good.
We're talking popcorn.
Well, make sure it's buttered.
Sorry
All right. Any other last minute comments?
We're good.
We'll adjourn this meeting. See y'all tomorrow.
Thanks, Pete.
When are you coming back, John?
Okay, you're gonna send me a
Email, yeah. Literally.